Good morning. Welcome everyone to the Marysville Tulalip Chamber of Commerce Business Before Hours event. Our program today is going to update you on a lot of fantastic things going on in the county. We've got some great presenters and we will have time for questions and answers afterwards. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our chairman of the board, Jack Schumacher.
Good morning. Welcome, everybody. First of all, I'd like to welcome some of our elected officials here. If you're out in the audience, I'll call your name, raise your hand, and hold your applause until I've gotten through the list. Mayor John Nehring, Councilman from Marysville, Mark James and Tom King, and our Snohomish County officials, Nate Nehring and Ty Trenary. Welcome. We also have a number of elected officials or board members here that I'd like to introduce. Raise your hand also. Al Aldridge, Gloria Hiroshima, Ken Kettler, Jessica, she's already been up here, thank you. And I'd like to, first of all, welcome our today's sponsor, Todd Fallman from the Fallman Property Group is here, and I'd like you to welcome him. Please welcome Todd. Thanks.
Can we have that PowerPoint, please? How's everybody doing today? That's when you say, great. Okay, here it is. Good. I don't have to stall anymore. Thanks. It is an honor and a privilege to be here to speak what I'm very, very passionate about, and that's real estate. And so I'm going to take just a few moments, and I prepared a few slides here about the 5 rules for selling a home in today's market. For more than 21 years, the Fallman Property Group has been representing and providing real estate services throughout Snohomish County. We specialize in buyer and seller representation here in Snohomish County, particularly in Marysville and Arlington. So let's begin. Rule number 1, we need to price it right. When you're selling a home in today's market, it is very, very important. The first decision you make is to price it right. Selecting a price that's too high for your property will result in a less asking price and less money in your pocket. Online pricing sites that you see as you go through and put in your address and you see what your home is worth, like Zillow and Redfin and all those other ones, those are great for comparisons. And what you will need to do is find and look for a local real estate broker to determine your highest price. That was rule number 1, to price it right. Rule number 2, neglecting the repairs. Once you've made the decision to put your home on the market, obviously you want to make it and get it on the market right away. One of the suggestions that I would recommend is hiring a professional home inspector to come out and do a full home inspection on your property. The prices for these home inspections generally range between $350 to $500. Identifying what is wrong with the property and without having to skimp on these repairs, by skimping on these repairs and not completing it, what you'll end up doing is having to pay more by negotiating it with a buyer once you have the deal versus making those repairs up front before you put the home on the market. So don't neglect the necessary repairs. Now there's a lot of things that may not have to be repaired. That will be the helpful part to that is going through these lists with your real estate professional and identifying the things that you'll need to do and putting the money where it's necessary and also not putting the money where it's not necessary. Rule number 3, proper staging. I cannot emphasize how important this is. Staging your home is more than just making the beds, washing the dishes, cleaning up the bathrooms, picking up the laundry, power washing, picking up the toys, and straightening out the garage. It has been determined, and studies have shown off of sold homes, they are selling at 3% more than a non-staged home. Now, there's different levels of staging. One is to go the professional route. The second would be to have your real estate professional assist you with the staging. The best recommendation I can make is have your real estate broker with the professional stager along with you combined to make the greatest presentation of your home. Staging is very important. Rule number 4 is selecting a broker. There's a garden variety of real estate brokers. Some real estate brokers specialize in buyer representation. Some real estate brokers specialize in seller representation. Some real estate brokers specialize in property management. So there's a whole wide field of professionalism and specialization in real estate. Find a seasoned real estate broker that knows about your community, knows about the neighborhood, and selecting a real estate broker that is in close proximity to where your property is at will assure that you'll have the highest amount of attention paid to you and the highest level of representation when it comes to being available to show the property and provide you the services that you need. Rule number 5, emotional attachment. Over the last 21 years of providing real estate practice here in Snohomish County, one of the major things that I've found is the emotional attachment people have to their products, particularly a home. As you can imagine, there are so many memories that are anchored and connected to the house. I mean, people have their babies in the house, they raise their kids in the house, they fight in the house, they love in that house. They put all this energy and passion into this property. And when it's time to let it go, sure, some people say, I can just disconnect. Think of the home now as a product. And you're going to be hiring a marketing specialist to put that product on the shelf. So the emotional attachment has to be removed in order for you to make proper decisions regarding repairs, staging, and pricing, and also timing. So that's going to wrap up my 5 rules of selling a home in today's market. If you are interested in receiving this slideshow, please contact us right over here at the Fallman Property Group. We've got some fantastic specials going on right now. And by the way, May and June are the best months to list a house. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day.
I always like to see Todd in the morning. He's high energy. He's like drinking a cup of coffee. So thank you, Todd. You helped me wake up. So we have a couple options for those of you interested in sponsoring a business before hours. You get to have a 5-minute presentation, and your company recognition on all marketing and mailouts. Your presentation is recorded and shown on cable channels 21 and 25 throughout the following month. So if you're interested, just contact Ann at the Chamber office. So I'd like to introduce a couple of our speakers right now. First of all, Nate Nehring. He serves as the County Council member for District 1, which includes Arlington, Darrington, Granite Falls, Marysville, and Stanwood. Since joining the council, Nate's areas of focus have been on tracking the opioid epidemic, promoting economic development, and advocating for a responsible county budget. Nate chairs the council's Planning and Community Development Committee and also serves on 19 other committees throughout Snohomish County. Nate and his wife Savannah are both lifelong residents of Snohomish County. Also presenting today, Trenary. He has served the sheriff's office for more than 20 years, working his way up from master patrol deputy to captain of the agency's North Precinct. He has served Snohomish County as the contract police chief in the city of Stanwood from 2008 to 2012, and has held leadership positions on the Deputy Sheriff's Association and the Management Team Association. He has worked in patrol and community policing as well as the agency's administration by managing the training unit and assisting with recruiting and hiring. Ty was sworn in as sheriff of Snohomish County on July 8, 2013, elected in November 2014, and re-elected in 2015. And now please help me in welcoming Councilman Nate Nehring to the stage.
Well, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm excited to have the chance to share a little bit about what's been going on at Snohomish County. But before I do that, I want to recognize a couple of other elected officials who are here. We have Councilmember Steve Mueller from the Marysville City Council and Councilmember Camille Norton from the Marysville City Council, as well as Mel Sheldon from the Tulalip Tribes Board. And so thank you all for being here this morning. Also want to thank Jessica Stickles for inviting me here today, and Jessica does such a great job of organizing all these events. So I've had the privilege of serving on the Snohomish County Council since January of 2017. And as was mentioned, there have been a lot of exciting things going on, which have happened just in the last year, which I'll be touching on shortly. But you know, when I go around and speak at these sorts of events throughout North Snohomish County, I find that the most productive use of time is the question and answer period, where we can kind of direct the conversation about what's most interesting to you all and kind of where your ideas are at. And so I want to be sure to leave time at the end for Sheriff Trenary and I to answer questions. But please feel free to stop me at any point during the presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. So some of the things I thought I'd touch on this morning are the Snohomish County budget, some of the great economic development opportunities which are happening at the county, a brief recap of the legislative session and some of Snohomish County's priorities during that session, some transportation updates, and finally some of the efforts which are being made in our area to tackle the opioid epidemic. So jumping right in with the county budget, the budget is the primary responsibility of the county council. And so we've got a budget at Snohomish County of nearly $1 billion, and we pass that annually. We adopt a budget. And you know, this last year with the 2018 budget, well, we took notice of what was going on throughout the area and throughout the state. And so just recently, as I'm sure you're all familiar with, property tax bills have gone out, and there's been a tremendous increase in the burden of property taxes throughout the state, but particularly in the Puget Sound region. And so one of the reasons for that was the response to the McCleary decision, which, if you're not familiar with that, is the Supreme Court case, the McCleary case, which had to do with education funding at the state level. So what the legislature did with that was they proposed a levy swap, which has increased the amount of tax dollars that go to the state to pay for education funding. But in our area, a lot of folks have also had to deal with skyrocketing car tab fees and other property taxes associated with Sound Transit. So here in North Snohomish County, we're not a part of the Sound Transit taxing district, but if you go out into Everett and Linwood and Southwest County, they're seeing some pretty heavy increases in car tabs and other taxes due to that. And in some areas of the county, the overall property tax bill has increased by up to 30%. I was just talking with one of my colleagues, Councilmember Sam Lowe, who represents the Lake Stevens area, and I think he had a 29% increase in his property taxes just in one year. So people are feeling it here and all across the state, and the county council took notice of that last year, and we decided to vote to adopt a 2018 budget which froze property taxes, the county's portion of those taxes, at existing levels so that there was no increase. And you know, there's a strong belief, and I certainly have it, and I think that there are other council members that do as well, that responsible government ought to first look at reducing unnecessary spending and look at increasing efficiency and eliminating any waste which exists before going out and adding to the tax burden being carried by the citizens. So the adopted budget that we passed in 2018 included funding for the Law Enforcement Embedded Social Worker Program, and I think Sheriff Trenary is going to touch on that a little bit later, but that's been implemented in Arlington and Marysville, and we've already seen some early success there. It also included some funding for local roads projects. We have drainage improvements at Sauk Prairie Road for $1.1 million and a rural preservation project on Marine Drive for $1.2 million. And there are some other smaller local roads projects in North County included in there as well. We've also got local parks projects which receive funding here in North County, including Centennial Trail, campground improvements at Kayak Point, and waterfront improvements at Wenberg County Park. And so there were a lot of great things for North County in the 2018 adopted budget. And again, we're very glad as the council to have been able to adopt that balanced budget without increasing the county's portion of property taxes. And I'm hopeful that we'll look at taking similar action here as we look forward to the 2019 budget. Just this last week, the county council and the county executive had a joint retreat on the upcoming budget, and that was a very productive meeting, and so excited to look forward to that process. So next we have economic development, and I'm very excited about some of the opportunities which are going on here with regard to jobs and economic development in our county. As many of you have read in the paper, we have commercial air service at Payne Field, which is slated to take off this coming fall with commercial flights. We've got 3 airlines that are going to be servicing Payne Field. We have United Air, Alaska Air, and Southwest Air. And you know, this is just such a great opportunity in our area, not only for passenger flights. I know I'm excited to be able to skip the unmitigated disaster, which is traffic down to SeaTac, and be able to hop right onto a flight out of Everett. But it's not just about those passenger flights. It's also going to be a huge advantage for our local economy and for bringing jobs into our area. And I'm going to talk about the Manufacturing Industrial Center in just a second, but having the ability to fly directly in and out of Snohomish County puts us at a huge advantage, both nationally and internationally, in terms of economic development, and I think it's going to greatly enhance our local economy. So I've had the chance to meet with Alaska Airlines and with Propeller Airports, who's managing the airport at Payne Field, and I think that they're going to be great partners in working with the community to ensure the success of Payne Field and ensure the success of commercial air service. Another related item with regard to economic development is the Boeing's new midsize aircraft, or the NMA. And so Executive Dave Summers and Everett Mayor Cassie Franklin have been leading a countywide effort through a task force with the hope of convincing Boeing to build the new NMA right here in Snohomish County. And I've had the opportunity to participate in that task force, and I think that there's some great progress being made there. And certainly very hopeful that Boeing will decide to build that plane right here in Snohomish County and so that we can keep those jobs here. I'm sure you've heard both the Arlington and Marysville mayors talking about the Arlington-Marysville Manufacturing Industrial Center. This is a huge local opportunity for us here in North County, and it's just going to be such an asset. With over 4,000 acres of land and with the cities having done a lot of work to put the infrastructure in place, the Manufacturing Industrial Center is projected to bring 25,000 family wage jobs here to the area in the next couple of decades. And there's a couple of reasons why the MIC is able to be so competitive. The first is that the cities of Arlington and Marysville were 2 of 4 cities which were selected by the state legislature for a pilot program which makes businesses eligible for tax credits if they meet the following criteria, which are creating at least 25 jobs and that those jobs pay at least $18 per hour. And then the second is that the MIC was just recently designated as a regional job center by the Puget Sound Regional Council, and that was just in the last couple of months. And that helps put the MIC on the map, again, both nationally and internationally. And so this is a highly attractive area for businesses to locate, and we're very hopeful about the potential of creating good family wage jobs right here in the area. And both the cities of Marysville and Arlington, the staff and mayors and city councils have put so much work into that, and as a county, we're very grateful for that. So I thought I'd touch just briefly on some of the legislative priorities that Snohomish County had during the last session. The 2 big topics during the beginning part of the session were both the Hearst decision and the capital budget, which were kind of tied together. And so we were glad to see that both those issues were resolved early on. Snohomish County and several of our cities had some major projects contained within the capital budget that depended on its passage. And so, again, we were glad to see both of those fixed early on in the session. Another thing that we had was a proposal for funding for our diversion center. And this is something that Sheriff Trenary has been leading the effort on, and I'll let him go into more detail about this. But we asked the legislature to put an investment in for our diversion center, and State Representative Dave Hayes helped lead that effort in the legislature. And we were very glad that thanks to the sheriff and thanks to our legislators, we were able to secure $800,000 of funding toward that diversion center. So the next topic has a lot to do with the legislature and with our federal partners as well, and that's transportation. In 2015, the state legislature passed the Connecting Washington Transportation Package, and this package included over $200 million worth of funding for transportation projects just right here in North Snohomish County. And so that includes 2 brand new interchanges. You can see on the slide we've got the new Highway 529 interchange coming into Marysville from Everett, and that's scheduled to begin next year in 2019 and is fully funded at $45 million. Then we've also got another new interchange, and that's 156th Street where the existing overpass is. That's scheduled to begin in 2025 and is fully funded at $42 million. So in addition to those 2 new interchanges, which are funded through Connecting Washington, there are also several interchange improvements which are fully funded and scheduled in the next few years. And those include 88th Street and 116th Street in Marysville, as well as interchange improvements at Highway 531 in Arlington. So here in North Snohomish County, we're going to benefit from a significant investment in transportation dollars over the coming years. And I think that's a testament to the great work that our cities have done and the great partnership that exists with our legislators. An area of focus right now looking forward for the county is the US 2 trestle. And so I'm not sure how many of you drive the trestle either to or from work, but I drive it each day to and from work. And so I know all about the significant issues which exist with the trestle, with both capacity problems and with the backups which happen on a daily basis. And from what I've heard, it sounds like a fix for the trestle is going to exceed $1 billion. And so we're working hard with both our federal representatives and our state representatives on that project. But I think it just goes to show how really expensive these projects are when we're talking about transportation. Not only are they very costly, but they take a long time to both plan out and then to complete. And so again, it's great to have those North County projects, which I mentioned earlier, which are fully funded and which are scheduled to begin over the next few years here. So the last topic I wanted to touch on before turning it over is the opioid epidemic. So when I first came on the county council, this is something that I was very passionate about, and to this day I'm very passionate about. And you know, throughout Snohomish County and throughout the region, really, there's a whole host of agencies and jurisdictions which are working together on this very issue. And I thought I'd just touch on a couple of recent pieces of legislation that the Snohomish County Council has adopted, which relate to the opioid epidemic. And so the first is a chronic nuisance ordinance. When I first came on board on the county council, I had the opportunity to go on a ride-along with the Sheriff's Drug and Gang Task Force up in North County, and we visited a couple of these nuisance properties. One was in the Arlington Heights area, and then the other was along Bryant Road. And it was really eye-opening to get to go on that and see what these officers deal with and what the neighborhoods deal with regard to these chronic nuisance properties. You know, you go onto the property, and it's just covered in trash and feces. One of the properties, there was rodents going onto the neighboring properties and just causing all sorts of issues for the entire neighborhood and really destroying the character of the neighborhood. And so we were having an issue with this problem because law enforcement's hands were really tied. There wasn't anything, any process outlined in county code for an abatement of these properties. And so I had the opportunity to work with Sheriff Trenary and work with Detectives Chitwood and Lewis from the Drug and Gang Task Force on crafting a chronic nuisance ordinance for Snohomish County. So the city of Marysville and the city of Arlington both have their own chronic nuisance ordinances, and those have been successful within the cities, but we needed one for unincorporated Snohomish County. And so I'm pleased to say that that ordinance was adopted last month on a unanimous vote by the county council. The county council also adopted a land use ordinance banning heroin injection sites. And so I introduced this ordinance after visiting the site in Vancouver, BC called Insight. And you know, it was, again, really eye-opening to me to see not only how destructive that site was to the surrounding community in Vancouver, but also how destructive it was to the individuals who are struggling with addiction. You know, I strongly believe that there's nothing compassionate about enabling addiction, and certainly there's nothing safe about an injection site. And you know, I think that these folks really don't need a needle, they don't need heroin. What they need is access to treatment, access to job training, and other services which can help them to get back on their feet and get back to a healthy and sustainable lifestyle. And so we've been working very hard here in North County, and Sheriff Trenary, as well as Mayor Nehring of Marysville and Mayor Tolbert in Arlington, have been such great partners on this effort to reach out to those folks who are struggling with homelessness, addiction, mental health issues, and getting them into treatment instead of enabling that addiction. And it was really great for me. I had an opportunity on Tuesday night of this week to go out to Sylvana, where a group of families held a forum for families who had loved ones who are addicted to heroin or to opioids. And you know, in attending that forum and getting to talk with some of those families, one of the things I found is there's not really a resource for families who are going through this. You know, this affects all of us. It doesn't discriminate on race or class or age or any of that. There are a ton of people who are affected right here in our local community and throughout our state and nation. And so it was great to sit with these families and hear about what they're going through and how we can work together and seeing them really come together and form a support group for each other. But you know, one of the things that really stood out to me was these families who have sons and daughters and brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers who are addicted to heroin and opioids. These were the strongest people against efforts to enable addiction. They were the strongest people against handing out needles, against injection sites, against all of these things. They didn't want anything to do with it. And they were all about, how can we get people into treatment? How can we get their lives back on track? And so one of the ways that we're working to do this in North Snohomish County is through the Law Enforcement Embedded Social Worker Program. This is something that was included in the Council's 2018 adopted budget, and I've already heard some great success stories in both Marysville and Arlington. And I won't go into too much detail about this because I know Sheriff Trenary is going to share with us on that topic in just a moment. But I think that this effort really does speak to the great value and partnership that we have. Executive Summers and the staff in the Human Services Department have been great partners on this effort. The cities of both Arlington and Marysville, with the staff, the mayors, and the city councils, have been very gracious in the funding and in making sure that this can happen. And Sheriff Trenary has played a huge role and really has just been such a great asset in fighting the opioid epidemic in our county. And he's just made such a positive difference in the way that the Sheriff's Office is run. I think he's doing a great job. And so without further ado, I'll invite Sheriff Trenary up to the stage to share with us a little bit about how the Office of Neighborhoods is doing and the great work that's going on to combat the opioid epidemic here in Snohomish County. Thank you.
So I'm going to confess, I'm used to much smaller groups. Kind of as an old country sheriff, it's really intimidating to stand at a podium with a microphone. So if I move around a little bit, bear with me, I'll get used to it. I also want to pay respect to Mel Sheldon and the Tulalip tribes. I'm always reminded of what a beautiful facility you have here. As a resident of Lake Goodwin, and my wife and I have kind of grown up in the Marysville area as adults, and so it's nice to be home. Thank you, sir. We have a great relationship with you and your leaders. And Jessica, thank you as well for the opportunity to speak. And I apologize for that horrible bio. I thought I'd gotten rid of that thing, and it just keeps popping up over and over again. But one of the things it talked about was my time in Stanwood. Sheriff's Office provides law enforcement services for several communities in our county. It's pretty common that smaller communities will get out of the business of policing and will hire us to be their police department. So in 2008, I had the opportunity as a lieutenant to go up to Stanwood and be their police chief. What was fascinating about that for me was about 6 months into my stint, and I really felt like I was in Mayberry. It was a great community. My two daughters were going to school at the time. At the time my wife was teaching school up there. It was just perfect for us. But I remember a mother coming into the police department in late 2008 and saying, "Chief, you've got a heroin problem in this community. What are you going to do about it?" And I remember thinking, what are you talking about? Heroin is an inner city problem with homelessness and down in Seattle, and this is Stanwood. I read the newspaper 3 or 4 times a day and get a lot of coffee, and we don't have a heroin problem. Well, I was dead wrong. We started looking at healthy youth surveys that are done by our school districts every 2 years where our students self-report what type of risky behavior they're engaged in, and sure enough, we started to see some trends. In 2010, the last numbers I really paid attention to, in 2010, the needle exchange program in Everett gave out approximately 1 million needles in a year to a mainly adult population. A year later, in 2011, they gave out almost 2 million needles, so a 50% increase, and predominantly juvenile population. Snohomish County, it has 10% of the state's population. We have roughly 18% of the state's opioid overdoses and deaths. You might say, well, Ty, that's got to be because King County's number 1 and Pierce County's number 2. And I would say that might make sense. Unfortunately, they're not. They're nowhere close to us. Grant County and Grays Harbor County typically are bounced between number 1 and number 2. So the always elusive question that I get is, why us? What is it that's going on? And I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but I'll just give you my advertisement is we've overprescribed pain medication in this county. When you look back to the late 90s, you talk to medical workers and who are very much supportive of our efforts. It became very easy to get a 30-day supply of Oxycontin when you had a tooth pulled or a finger broken. And if you and your spouse had the same thing, in a matter of months, you could collect over 100 pills. Well, back to that healthy youth survey I talked about, our children were telling us they were becoming addicts because they were getting into our prescription cabinet and taking that leftover drugs. It seems really, really simple. I've had people say it can't possibly be that simple, but I will tell you it is. So the first effort Snohomish County made in 2012 was we started a drug take-back program. We're the second county in the state to take that effort, and we created a partnership with the Snohomish County Health District and put lock boxes in all of the police departments around Snohomish County and said, hey, here's this problem, here's what's going on, please bring us your unwanted meds. We don't want to put them back into the environment, we don't want to dispose of them in a bad way. Bring them to us, we'll collect them, we'll take them down to Oregon where we have an incinerator and safely get rid of them. We did really, really well at that, really, really well. In fact, I no longer provide the statistics because it's scary how much we collected. Unfortunately, when you talk about upstream, it was still coming in so strong, we weren't even keeping up with the amount of legal prescription opioids that were coming into our community. The other problem then that we found is in 2015, we were part of a large federal investigation. It's called an OCDETF case, where we worked very closely as a county with the federal government, FBI, DEA, ATF. We knew from some information we got from some credible informants that the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico was moving large shipments of illegal heroin into our community through Fresno County. So we partnered with Fresno County over the period of about 18 months, and I could do an entire presentation on that. I won't. Here's what I'll tell you the result was. We tracked cars and human beings for 12 months. We found an organizational structure that would rival most good businesses, from a CEO to vice presidents to businesses that operated in our county as a front to launder money. By the time we made 24 arrests, we shut down this organization, collected millions of dollars in illegal cash and illegal drugs, and really thought we'd done ourselves a pretty good job. Unfortunately, we knew from the chatter about a month later, a new team was being moved in. Why? Because of demand. So we stopped and said, we've got to do something different. I will tell you, I took a look at this is my 32nd year in the profession. Never, ever, ever did I want to be the guy that stood at the podium. I was really happy to be that unknown deputy that just drove around and handled calls. Coincidentally, a little fun fact, Tulalip Reservation and Marysville, before it got eaten up by the horrible cities of Marysville and Arlington, used to be my beat. And so this is kind of home for me. But what we realized is the traditional methods of policing, the stuff I grew up on, which was a pair of handcuffs and a trip to jail, didn't work in this solution. We took a look, we asked our database a couple years ago, hey, tell us who's been arrested more than 30 times. Just because 30 seems like a really astronomical number. So I'm expecting 4 or 5. We got the number 53. 53 people arrested 30 times in 7 years. Okay, well, that's interesting. Let's learn about every one of these people. 47, 85%, have been heroin addicts for more than 10 years. Why is that story important? Because I've had to change how I think about the solution. The solution for Ty has been, you're under arrest, I'm taking you to jail, the criminal justice system's going to hold you accountable. And unfortunately, I can tell you, we've spent a ton of your tax money doing that. And I feel like it's the snake that eats its tail. We have not had a solution. So I'd like to, if we're ready, play a video about where we're headed and kind of fill you in on what Nate said. Anytime you're ready.
If I'd have told you 19 years ago when I joined law enforcement that I'd be going into homeless camps offering detox, treatment, and housing, I'd have told you were crazy.
If you would have told me, 15, 20 years ago that I would be working alongside deputies in the field, wearing a ballistic vest and, acting in the role that I currently am, I probably wouldn't have believed you either.
is the way of the future. We share the vision with this partnership that's up here. We believe that there should be accountability, but we'll bend over backwards to give people the opportunity to help themselves. And we know what doesn't work, so it's time that we try something new. So.
Chief Ventura hates it when I play this video because he just doesn't like the way he sounds there. But I will tell you the other thing that he said in that press conference that I've never forgotten, and it applies to using law enforcement to solve this problem. If the only tool that you have in your tool bag is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. And I will tell you that that has been our challenge. Again, fundamentally, those that grew up in this profession, we knew what our role was. Our role was to go find somebody that broke the law, hold them accountable, take them to jail, plug them into the criminal justice system. And that system's worked pretty well. It's certainly not perfect, but I can tell you I've seen it work more than I've seen it fail until we got to this problem. In case you haven't figured it out, I'm fairly old, and I got to live through the meth trend in the 90s. And I'll tell you, since I started in law enforcement in the mid-80s, the meth epidemic we thought was really, really bad. I will tell you, this is far, far worse. It's far, far worse for a lot of reasons. For us in Snohomish County, the challenge has been, okay, we've got this great outreach effort and it's working really well. Where do you get these people help? Well, I will tell you, when I first started this program, when we first created the Office of Neighborhoods and put social workers and deputies together, every single person we offered help to that took us up on it, we either drove to another county or got help and flew people to other states. We've done that for a good couple of years. We've developed relationships with some service providers, treatment facilities in Southern California, Arizona, Nevada that really appreciate working with us, and they're pretty giving folks. I just bristle with that idea that we are the third largest county in the state of Washington. We're one of the fastest growing counties in the nation, that we've got to rely on other taxpayers or other places to solve our problem. And so we knew we had something that was working with the Office of Neighborhoods, this idea of let's not wait for somebody to break the law. We know where these homeless camps are. We know that over 90% of the people living in homeless camps have addiction issues and mental health issues that, but for help, are going to commit a crime because there's no resources out there for them. So let's put our teams together and let's go out ahead of a crime being committed and develop relationships. Now, I get a little choked up about this just because I've got daughters, but the first time I rode with this team, we went to a huge camp behind Home Depot at Airport and the Highway. I don't know if you know where that is. It was one of our largest homeless camps, anywhere from 100 to 150 people at any one time. And I've forgotten the young girl's name, but they went looking for a young girl who had just turned 18 that they had been talking to for weeks and weeks and weeks. And they found her and said, okay, here's my phone. And the whole time I'm watching, what's going on? And they had made a deal with her that they would come every week and give her their cell phone so she could call her mom in Southern California and say, I'm still alive, Mom. And I struggled with that a little bit because, again, pair of handcuffs, trip to jail, you're breaking the law. We're going to take care of this. But they convinced me that by developing a relationship and trust with her, they were able to eventually get her into treatment, and now she's healthy and back to work and not addicted. So for me, that was a real turning point from my traditional process that I'd grown up on to, hey, this stuff really works. We realized that it worked so well that we had to start doing something different. And so we took a program that I don't think was working very well and retooled it into what is now the Diversion Center. This idea that when somebody, and they do it almost daily, says, you know what, I've been seeing you folks come around, you keep taking people out of here, I don't see them back again, I assume you're doing something nice with them, so yeah, I'm ready for treatment. We scoop them up right then. We pack their belongings, we go. Because if you wait, you're missing an opportunity. We had, for years, been placing these folks using flex funds and vouchers to put them in a motel and try and track them until we could get them into treatment. But 60% of the time, we'd go back and they'd be gone. So what the Diversion Center is going to provide for us is that stopgap. So now when somebody says, hey, I'm ready to go, we say, great, let's go. Grab up your belongings, off to the Diversion Center we go. Clean shower, new clothes, warm bed, food, case manager, and a navigator to instantly start the process. The county council, county executive, been great partners with me. About a year and a half ago, there is a round building on the county campus on the jail side, if you hang out in Everett at all. It's called the Carnegie Building. 2 years ago, the legislature identified $1.5 million to renovate that building. And unfortunately, because the economy is going so well, it's taking the construction effort a little bit longer, but we're getting really close to opening that as well, and that will have all of the services that we need so that when an individual has gotten cleaned up, gotten fed, kind of had a moment to collect their thoughts, we'll now be able to walk them across the courtyard to the Carnegie Building to begin services. In about a year and a half, we're going to add another 64 detox beds in North Everett. We only have 32, ladies and gentlemen, right now. 32 for a population of 800,000. There is a wait list, as you might imagine. And so we're going to add another 64 in a year and a half. We've got the funding for that, with the idea that we capitalize on this program. So when somebody says, hey, I want help, we get you help right now, we plug you into the diversion center, figure out what individually do you need, because everybody is different. There's a lot of mental health pieces to it as well. Get them services at Carnegie, and then long-term residential treatment. And then we're there when they graduate from that. My folks don't stop there. We're there at graduation. We're there ready to move on to job training, mental health components, and we work very closely with Human Services to find low-income housing. Master Builders Association in our region is doing great things in King County, and we're now working with them in Snohomish County to be able to provide short-term housing through abandoned properties that are owned by developers as a way of keeping squatters out, bringing the community kind of the reducing crime in the community, and at the same time giving folks a stopgap until we get them into housing. Now, if you told me 32 years ago I was going to stand in front of a group of business owners and tell you that was my philosophy, I would have laughed at you. Because my idea of policing was I go out and catch the bad guys, I take them to jail, and go off to the next call. And now I'm involved in low-income housing, treatment, mental health. But my goal is, before I leave this profession, is that we make the community safer. When I took over as sheriff, we were spending more than $500,000 a year just on psychiatric medication that we would give to people that were being released. That didn't include the medication we gave them in the facility. It was just we'd give them a 3-day dose and say, good luck. Crazy, crazy idea. We've completely retooled that money now. Where we're headed is we know that we're going to get to a place where we're not going to get volunteers anymore. We know that there are folks out there that really actually want to live this way. We're working very closely with the council and with the courts to develop a community court model that they have in Spokane. So the next phase will be, no, you don't get to choose this lifestyle. We've been here, we've provided opportunities, now we're going to go back to the traditional methods, but instead of incarceration, the court is going to require you to participate in programming, because ideally, we as a community are better when you're healthy. I'm going to stop and see if there are any questions. You want to come up, Nate? Yes, sir. We have no intentions of using this for anybody else other than people that live in Snow County. I will tell you our challenge is we have been using other counties' beds and options for several years that I won't stand up here and say if I get a call from another sheriff calling in a voucher that we won't try to help them.
Sheriff, thank you for the presentation. Very, very informative, and thank you, Nate, as well, too. So as a member of Snohomish County, as a resident of Snohomish County, what would you like to see us do, also as business folks, too? What would you like to see us engage in to either support or advocate or, I don't know, what?
Great question. We'll push each other as we want to give answers, but I'll tell you my biggest challenge right now is I tried to keep this. I could do this presentation in 3 hours. I know you all have real jobs and places to be, so I condensed it. One of the other things we did along the way was we provided naloxone to all of my deputies, to all of the police officers in this county, so that when we showed up on an overdose, we could save lives. Okay, so I'm going to pause there for a second. And I don't know if you remember the commercial that the National Highway Traffic Safety Commission did a couple of years ago, where they pretend like they're a reporter on the street and they stop a young lady and say, hey, how many how many national fatalities on highways do you think is acceptable a year? And I think she says, 8 or 10. And they went, okay, so how many fatalities should be your family? And she says, well, 0. So my challenge right now is I've got a Grand Canyon divide. Every time I do a presentation like this, and Nate was absolutely right, because it knows no boundaries, somebody will pull me aside and tell me about how they're wrestling with this with a loved one at home. But I will also have people say, how dare you save those lives? How dare you save those lives? They are making a choice, and you are costing us as taxpayers money. And I've gotten kind of a little snotty. And my response is, when I took my oath was to protect and serve. You don't want me picking. You want me applying that to everybody. And my job is to protect and serve everybody. Some people like that, some people don't. What I want from the community is us to collaborate and work together and get on the same page. This group that Nate was talking about in Sylvana, I met with the family that started this, and their fear is coming out and sharing that they have a family member that's an addict because it's seen as dirty. It's seen as, what did you as parents do that could possibly have your child be an addict? And yet I could line up hundreds of people that said, man, we thought we did everything right. I have a 24-year-old daughter and a 21-year-old daughter. The youngest is getting ready to go to law school, lives over on the east side of the state. And I worry about her, not because I think she's an addict, but because she's in that target age group where it can just happen.
One of the things I would add, particularly for the business community, the sheriff mentioned the program in Seattle that some of the builders are participating in. That's called WELD. And not only do they provide that housing, but they also provide folks who are going through the process with a job. And so for the business community, and I know we've talked with the business community in Smoky Point as well, but if we can find a way to, once people have gone through treatment, once they've gotten themselves back onto a healthy lifestyle, getting them into a job is really critical so that they can get back onto their feet and they can start to be self-sustaining. And so any way that we can partner with the business community here in Arlington, anywhere throughout the county, I think would be really great, whether that's putting on a job fair or just identifying resources for folks who are ready to get back on their feet and are in need of a job.
Good morning. My name is Marilyn Sheldon, and I work for the Tulalip Tribe's Charitable Contributions. And I want to thank you for all this good work because I know it is difficult, and I would love to see more community involvement. I think it's paramount that all of us work cohesively. And the reason being is homelessness and addiction and mental illness know no boundaries. Okay. They walk and they just continue on their plight. And I would love to see education to everybody, a greater stance of getting us to understand instead of this attitude of not in my backyard. Well, guess what? It's already there. You just don't see it. You're not home enough to see it. It's there. And I would love more resources available to those of us who encounter those who are homeless on a regular basis. It's everywhere. And I would love to be able to hand somebody a card or have a kiosk available, or like you were saying, having those fairs and resources. I know that I've seen one in Seattle, and I believe there was one in Everett just most recently. And I appreciate those, but I think they should be more widespread. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today, and I would love to have us do more type of outreach so that people can truly understand the good work that you're doing, because it's powerful and we need to glean from it and continue to grow. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely, thank you. And you couldn't be more spot on. And I think the challenge is us getting the word out and getting to the right folks so that we can talk as a community. Because this is, back to my comment about hammer and nail, this is a social problem. It is a public health crisis, which means it's all hands on deck. And unfortunately, my perception is it's just too easy to call 911 and say, hey, make that problem go away. Well, the make it go away part, I think I've demonstrated hasn't worked. So we've got to work together. So thank you for your kind words.
I think you make a very great point as well about outreach. And one of the things is, we have our social workers who know exactly, where to take these folks when they're in trouble. But you or I, if we encounter someone who's homeless would have a very difficult time and where to connect them and where to take them. And so after going to that group in Sylvana, that's one of the things they brought up was, can we have like a one-pager or a brochure or some sort of outreach material that we can have as contact information or a process for how we can get these people help. And so our Snohomish County Human Services Department is working on that, and so would love to get that distributed further throughout the county.
Okay, in the interest of time, this will be our last question.
Thank you. Just have a quick question. I know this is a subject that's very hits all of us, and the big challenge that I see. I mean, I've struggled with this often with people that I know. But if you take the proverbial bucket of homeless people and reach in, and how do you? There's a certain number that want a hand up. Truly, they need a hand up. But what is the solution for those that simply want to continue on that same road? We talked about a program a minute ago, but we didn't really elaborate on that. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it tells me I didn't do near a good enough job of explaining it. I think the solution is community court. Again, an hour presentation. I'm going to condense it quickly. About 4 years ago, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, which is a branch of the DOJ, said, we need something different for this epidemic. And they challenged 16 municipalities across the nation to create something that would hold exactly what you're talking about. We're past the low-hanging fruit. We've helped everybody that wants help. Now we've got those folks that don't want help. Spokane, almost 4 years later, is being used as the model for community court across the nation. I had the opportunity to go over and sit with the judge and members of community court. Members of community court in Spokane are you folks, business owners, especially in the downtown core, because they were really frustrated by crime and what they saw as an impact to their economic sustainability. And I pulled a couple of them off at a break and said, hey, tell me about this because I have a similar problem at home. And they said, I'm a believer. We don't get everybody, but I'm seeing a much greater increase. I participate ahead of each case. I know what we can offer. I know what the responsibility of the individual is. And we now know each of our people, and I know when they're getting help, and it has made a huge difference on me. And will it solve it all? No, but I saw folks who 2 years ago were really, really mad, who now felt like they were part of the solution, and that's where we're headed. Thank you.
Good morning, Kim Thompson with Prime Lending. And right now is the time during our meeting where we do our 5-minute table networking. So would everybody get out their business cards and their flyers? And we're going to have an opportunity to introduce ourselves to the people at our table. Okay, so we're going to start with the person closest, and when you hear the timer, you'll move on to the next person. Okay, and that concludes our open networking time. So now we would like to introduce our new members since our last Business Before Hours breakfast. So with the following businesses, a representative from those businesses, please join me here. And we have Galloway Law Group, Dry County Distillery, U.S. Bank Arlington, U.S. Bank Everett, Bloom Solar, and Wise Women. Good morning. We'd like to introduce you to our chapter, and you are?
Good morning, everybody. I am Ashley Bartholomew from U.S. Bank at the Smoky Point location. I'm the branch manager there. Sorry, I've met some people already. So I do everything at the branch level. We're kind of a one-stop shop, if you will. I do a lot of our business banking, so I'm really excited to come out and meet everybody. I'm a relationship banker. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know your business. I want to get to know how it works and how'd you become successful, because without knowing those things, how can I ever provide a solution for you? So that's what I'm for, and I'm looking forward to meeting everybody as the time goes on.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, and also you're from U.S. Bank.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Danielle Gregory. I'm with U.S. Bank Home Mortgage. So Ashley and I do partner. I cover all of the north end, so Everett and north, over to Lake Stevens and Snohomish. But U.S. Bank Home Mortgage is all about doing very creative lending as far as we do lot loans, construction loans, jumbo loans. I also sponsored a table, so I'm not going to go too far into that, but U.S. Bank as a whole company, we're rated #1 with ethics, which is different for a bank, so I wanted to make sure everybody knew that. But great company I work for over 10 years, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Wonderful. And from from Galloway Law Group.
Hi, I'm Peter Rudolph with the Galloway Law Group. We're a full-service civil law firm, except family law. Up in Lake Stevens, we practice in Snohomish County, do some Skagit, do some King County as well. Basically, if it touches and concerns dirt, we do it. Real estate, boundary lines, utilities, probates, people in the ground, right? And if we, if you got any questions, I'd be happy to answer questions. If we can't provide service, I have a large network of attorneys I could refer you to. We do transactional work, deeds and things like that, and we also do litigation. So nice to meet you all. Thanks.
Thank you. Ooh. Okay, so now I would like to introduce our showcase tables. And our first showcase table is the Fallman Property Group. We also have, and if you would please come up and join me, you get a minute at the mic to talk about your business. We have Edward Jones, Lance Curry, City of Marysville. We also have the Marysville Kiwanis and U.S. Bank. Everett.
Hi, and my name's Tina Hudon with the Fallman Property Group here, Realty One in Marysville, right on State Street. And thank you so much for having us here, and we appreciate the opportunity to have a table here, a showcase table. A quick question that we keep getting as real estate agents is there a bubble in the real estate market? And one of the things in the Everett Herald about the beginning of April, there was 4 top real estate specialists, experts, that said no bubble, no bubble. The market is critical, but there's no bubble in the near future. Just not anytime soon anyway, right? We're going through a growth spurt, and there are 2 key indicators. One, the very favorable job market and the income, and also the historical low interest rates that we have right now. So what we're experiencing is simply just a basic supply and demand in the real estate market. And so with the bubble, the only thing that we see as the Fallman Property Group is that the housing market, we're not going to go up as fast as we have gone. Just a fun fact is that here in Snohomish County, the median sales price is $452,000. Yeah, as of March of this year. So we'd like to just invite you, if you are interested in finding out what the value of your home is here in the area, please reach out to Ralph, Todd, or myself, and we'd love to help figure out, what the prices of your home, and or if you know of anyone looking to sell in this market, we would love the opportunity to help get some more inventory out there and help our buyers that are in the market. Again, the Fallman Property Group, Tina Hudon. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Kim, you're doing a great job. Isn't she doing a great job? Thank you, Kim. Love you. No way, but you're doing super. Your voice sounds a little groggy, but I'm sorry about that.
Allergies.
I'm holding you the mic now. Look at that. So, hey, all right. So, showcase table. What did I just hear? Bubble? Wow, man, that just got my attention real quick. Maybe if there is one and you're looking to sell your home, you should see the Fallman Property Group quick. Who knows? We just don't find out until time goes on. Same thing with your investment strategy. And it's like what Nate and Sheriff said. They said this is a growing county, isn't it? And if it wasn't so growing, we'd have less of a need to go get a job, and you'd probably have less of a need to invest. But because of growth, you've got to put your money to work. You've got to do it regularly. You've got to put a little away or a lot away or however you can do that, because you may not know it, but you've got goals. And many of you do know it, but you've got goals and you've got long-term needs. Well, with Edward Jones, I've sponsored the little table over there, so you can come by and get a card. But with Edward Jones, we actually have a process for keeping you on track for that. So when I'm sitting down with a client, I always want to do 3 things. I want to understand what's important to you. I will have an established process to help you achieve your financial goals and make it personal to you and your goals. And 3, I partner with you to stay on track for the long term. So my name is Lance Curry, and I'm excited to work with you. Come by and get my card. Thanks.
Thank you, Lance. Good morning, Tom. If you'd like to do...
Okay, good morning. I'm Tom King with the Marysville Kiwanis Club, and joining me over there is Mike Ferry. Wave at everybody, Mike. Our next upcoming event is our 26th annual Youth Fishing Derby that we hold at Jennings Park in Marysville, and it's for kids 12 and under, boys and girls. And we team up with the Everett Steelhead and Salmon Club, and we provide poles and bait, so you can bring anybody you wish, and we give away 4 bicycles with helmets, and we work with the Marysville Fire District on the helmets. So everybody's welcome. And we were chartered in 1956, and our main focus is in our community is kids, high school scholarships. We work with the food bank and that type of thing. Thank you.
Tom, would you like to do your drawing today?
Let's do a drawing. We've got a gift card for $25 for Starbucks. So, draw a name out of there.
And we have Denise Sheldon with Tulalip.
Are you here, Denise? You leave?
Gotta be present to win?
Got to be present to win. Let's draw another card.
All right, we have Lisa Miller with Judd and Black.
Lisa Miller with Judd and Black. All right. Congratulations. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joanna Martin. I'm with the City of Marysville, and we received a grant for tourism, and we are putting on the Great Girls Getaway. So you have these on your table. Inside has all of the different opportunities that we have for businesses to get involved and partner with us. Anything from being in a coupon book to help get people into your business, to being a vendor, a sponsor, or even hosting something at your own facility during the Great Girls Getaway weekend in October. And if this isn't kind of your group that you want to hit, we have, the City of Marysville has lots of other sponsorship opportunities. Thank you.
Hi again. How's everybody? So I did have a drawing as well. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew I was doing a drawing. It's for a $100 gift card to Anthony's over at the Everett Waterfront. So on your way out, it's that little U.S. Bank jar. Go ahead and put it in there. I'll wait for everybody to clear on out of here, and then I'll give whoever the winner is a call, and I'll hand deliver it. But I'm hoping to meet each and every one of you. I look forward to being a part of this group. Thank you.
Thank you. So now it is our roving mic time. And so if you have an event that's coming up that you want to come up and tell us about, or if you've done business with a chamber member that you'd like to give a attaboy to, that gets your card into our door prize drawing. So please join me here if you have an upcoming event you'd like to make us aware of, or a kudos.
Good morning again. I'm really excited to announce that tomorrow, Saturday, I have a nonprofit called Community Homebuyer Education. Community Homebuyer Education. This nonprofit teams up with Washington State Housing Finance Commission. They provide funding for first-time home buyers looking for zero-down financing. Tomorrow at Edmonds Community College, Snohomish Hall, room 215. You can find it at communityhomebuyereducation.com. All the information for first-time homebuyer education tomorrow at 10 a.m. from 10 to 3 at Edmonds Community College, sponsored by Washington State Housing Finance Commission and Community Homebuyer Education. So if you know somebody who's interested in getting some information about getting started in the home buying process, we gladly invite them to tomorrow's event. Thank you very much, and thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning, Alicia.
Hi, good morning. I'm Alicia Delegans with Seroptimus International of Marysville, and we're a nonprofit organization that supports women and children in our community. Every year, we usually provide at least $15,000 in scholarships to girls within graduating from the Marysville School District. We also support the food bank, Clothes for Kids, the Salvation Army, Peoria Home, Dawson Place, and other organizations within our community. I'm here to help you remember to save the date. We are having our annual auction and benefit dinner on Saturday, October 27th at the Wyndham Garden Hotel. And this is a fun event, right, Kim?
It's a very fun event.
It's a fun event. It's and we encourage we have our theme this year is Mardi Gras. And we're always looking for donations of goods and services as well. So on your table there is a half sheet of paper with my name on it. So if you have any thing you'd like to donate or you'd like to attend, please contact. So that's Saturday, October 27th at the Wyndham Garden. Thank you.
They also have a really great dessert dash. So if you are a baker, they take donations for that as well. You just have to beat out Jean Corey's best cake of the year always.
Hi, I'm Marysville, and I'm from Windsor Square. We're retirement. We are right behind Fred Meyer. So basically, talk to me if you want to know what it's like to live on a cruise ship without the seasickness. And you're 55 and over. We are having a Mother's Day event on May 10th. It's a Thursday from noon to 2, and it's tulips and teapots, and we're going to have a fashion show through the decades. So please let us know if you can attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Marysville.
Hi, everybody. My name is Masha Morris. That's my husband, Cole, over there. We represent the grocery outlet in Marysville. May 5th, we're having a wine tasting from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. I'd like to see y'all there. It's going to be great.
Good morning, Becky.
Good morning, Kim. Good morning, everyone. I am Becky Mulholland with Wallach and Volk Mortgage Bankers. I'm also known as Baseball Becky, if you don't know, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I am here to promote out the Marysville Tulalip Chamber of Commerce big mega mixer that is coming up on May the 10th. This is our 4th annual one. Last year it attracted over 150 business representatives. Make sure that you go online, register. This is really a fun event. You get to know different businesses within the community. You get to promote your business, develop advocacies and business event. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. Hope to see it's going to be catered by Outback Steakhouse and Bonefish Grill. $5 is really good to come into this event. Come and enjoy, get to know everybody, and have a lot of fun. Hope to see you there.
And it's a really good idea to pre-register because it gets you the fast pass to get into the room, to start getting some food, wine, networking. It's a great time.
Hi, I'm Lynn Reed with the Whistle Stop Sweet Shop, and I want to give a kudos to my new friend Joanna Martin at the City of Marysville. I met her yesterday. I signed up for the Mother Lovin' Market coming up on May 12th. It's going to be at Comfort Park, and I got a booth, and we talked, and we talked, and we talked, and it's going to be an amazing thing. She told me about the Great Girls Getaway that I want to be part of, and she had so much that I brought it back to the shop and showed my girls, and we're thrilled. So I love what you're doing, and I'm gonna see you a lot.
Do you have an extra card to put in the drawing? And you know, you can't have a girls' weekend without some chocolate from the sweet shop. There's some great fudge that they have. So for those that have brought door prizes, could you please line up? And Renee James, would you be willing to help by handing out the door prizes? So while we're waiting for folks to come up, my name is Kim Thompson, and I'm with Prime Lending, and I want to tell you about an event that's coming up. It's a save the date. It's for Eagle Wings Disabilities Ministries, and they are doing their Aviator Dinner. It's going to be on Friday, July 6th. It is during the Arlington fly-in. It will be a prime rib dinner with beer and wine provided, and you get to sit and watch the air show while you have a lovely, lovely dinner. There will be an auction, and there's going to be a dessert dash, and there's music in the air show. So there are cards on your table about the save the date. Thank you. That looks really nice.
Hi, I'm Cole, and we have a wine basket put together here. 2 of the wines that are in the basket will actually be featured at our May 5th tasting. One of the wines is actually signed by the vintner himself. There's a bottle that is signed and a bottle that is not signed, so you can save it. That wine is actually out of Columbia Valley. Then there's a bottle opening kit, some chocolates to complement some of the wines, and a cheese kit also. So
Let's find out who takes this home.
We got Alicia Delagran.
Let's go ahead and give that to Renee, and she'll deliver it. No, yes, thank you.
Hi there, good morning everyone. I'm Tracy and I'm lucky enough to work right here at Tulalip. So welcome. We have a giveaway today for $60 at Blackfish Restaurant. So I'm sure probably most of you have tried our 24-hour restaurant somewhere along the line. So we'd like to give $60 away to a lucky winner. Stir them up here really good. We have Jose Zaragoza. Yay, with Jay-Z Internet Marketing. Perfect. And if you haven't had a chance yet, our summer concert series has been announced and it's online. So please check out that lineup and see if you want to come to an event.
Thank you.
All right, we have 2 little gift baskets. So in addition to the Great Girls Getaway, the City of Marysville does events all year round. So you heard about the Mother Lovin' Market, which is a vendor event with all handmade and homegrown items. But we also have Taylor Lynn performing at the Opera House, and so we have 2 registrations for that. So Andy Smith from Edward Jones. And Daniel Weber from Electronics Business Machines.
Thank you. You can hand those to Renee.
Thank you. All right, my name's Lance Curry again, and I like tools and little gadgets. And so in order to help you keep your correct perspective through these tumultuous markets, and tumultuous is not a word that's going to go away anytime soon, okay? Just give me a call. I tape my card to the back of this, so we'll go ahead and draw for, not me. That would be Kim. Yes, it is. Kim Thompson. Way to go. Nice job, Kim.
I saw you pull it out. I did. Well, thank you, Lance.
Hello, hello. Ralph Alley, Fallman Property Group.
Yes, just one
If you've been thinking about selling your house, think no longer. This is the time of year to do it. What we have here is date night, movies for 2, right? Popcorn, looks like got lots of candy. Anyway.
To sneak in.
Yeah, so let's go. Want to dig down deep. Okay. Sean Schrader.
Just hand this to Renee, and she'll deliver it. And I just need the microphone. All right.
Hi, Marysville from Windsor Square, and we are right behind Fred Meyer. So I'm giving away a $20 Fred Meyer gift certificate. Al Michelle Aldrich.
Oh. Thank you. Well, it wouldn't be a meeting without you giving away something, Renee.
Good morning, Renee James with Hometown Value Savings Magazine. I invite you to grab a copy. We've got North Snohomish County and Marysville Tulalip issues out there. We mail to 30,000 homes. It's a direct mail publication, so if you're looking to promote yourself, we would love to help you. In Hometown Value Savings Magazine, I've got 2 tickets to the Red Curtain Foundation. They've got a play coming up called Family Business, so a date night. And it looks like Lance Curry will have a date night.
Thank you, Kim, for emceeing this event today. I'd also like to thank today's sponsor, the Fallman Group, and thank you to our chamber volunteers for helping us out, helping put this program on today, and also to the emissaries. I want to thank the Tulalip for putting on such a great event. It's a great breakfast. We all love this, and also a big thanks to each one of you, our chamber members, who make this a great area to have a business. I want to say a special thanks to our presenters today, Nate Nehring and Ty Trenary. I really think that was an informative discussion today, and really gives us an opportunity to give some thought and input to how we want to help them help our community. I want to mention our upcoming events. Once again, Becky had talked about our Mega Mixer. That's coming up May 10th? May 10th. And then also our next business before hours is May 18th. It's going to be a week early next month due to the program. Let's see. Yeah, it's one week early next month. And I want to thank you all for coming today, and hopefully we'll see you on May 18th at the business before hours and May 10th at the Mega Mixer. Thanks.